It is currently the 19th of January 2018, and let us get started with the news. Once we can get onto phone one. As I made a let us start with this, the first one. UK to pay extra £44.5 million for Calais securing Anglo-French deal. Britain will pay in £44.5 million for extra security measures in France to prevent another refugee camp from in Calais or any other Channel port, Theresa May is to announce. The extra cash will go towards fencing, CCTV and other detection technology in Calais and other ports, possibly including Dunkirk. It will also be used to help relocate migrants from the port towns to other parts of France. To be announced as a part of the Anglo-French summit at Sandhurst Military Academy on Thursday, the money brings total British funding for security and policing in Calais since the jungle camp was bulldozed in 2016 to more than £150 million. The measures have included building a 1 kilometre long concrete wall designed to prevent migrants and refugees getting close to roads used by trucks approaching the port, as well as pressing for an increased contribution to such costs. The French government has been urging the UK to just set up a joint operation to process asylum seeker claims in Calais. The proposal could form part of a new treaty, effective and updated the Tourcoing Agreement, under which British border checks are carried out in France. There are around 1,000 refugees in Calais, including 70 unaccompanied children, and a joint processing system could provide a legal route to Britain for some of them. A government spokesperson said this is about investing in and enhancing the security of the UK border, just as we invest in our borders around the rest of the UK. It is not the only right. We have constantly monitored whether there is more than we can be doing at the UK border controls in France and Belgium to ensure that they are secure as possible. The announcement will form part of a package of measures to be announced by Mayor Emmanuel Macron to reinforce their close relationship and countries will continue to have after Brexit. The pair will have much lunch together before travelling to Sandhurst, where the French president will be greeted by a guard of honour. They will hold a bilateral meeting, then attend an evening at the Victoria and Albert Museum. May said the summit would underline that we remain committed to defending our people and upholding our values as a liberal democracy in the face of any threat, whether at home or abroad. Macron had been seeking an overhaul of the Tourcoing Accord, saying France could no longer be Britain's Coast Guard without concessions from the UK to help them ease the migrant crisis. Under the new legally binding treaty, Britain will agree to accelerate procedures for accepting legitimate asylum seekers currently blocked in Calais, including unaccompanied children, and those seeking to join their families in the UK, and will pay more for transport security and border maintenance in the port. OC officials said drawing up a new treaty to address important weaknesses in the Tourcoing Agreement was quicker than revising the existing documents. The New Deal would also open discussions on possible British financial support for the Calais region, they said. We have to send a signal that the border at Calais is not open or porous, Elise said, echoing Macron's message during a trip to the Channel Ports on Tuesday. Officials said France was anxious not to prejudice Brexit negotiations on any future relationships between the UK and the EU, but was determined that Anglo-French ties must not be weakened. The pair are expected to issue a 15-page communiqué setting out plans for enhanced cooperations on defence, intelligence and shared futures, the latter including cultural projects such as the loan of the Bayeux Tapestry to the UK and boosting French teaching in British schools. An example military cooperation, the British government signalled that it would send free Chinook transport helicopters to Mali to provide logistical backing for French counter-terrorism operations there, while France agreed to contribute to the NATO-led forward presence in Estonia, where British troops are already based. The UK will allocate £50 million of extra aid, including humanitarian support to African countries, including Mali, Niger, Chad, North Cameroon, Burkina Faso and Mauritania, as a part of what the government said was a joint effort to tackle issues in source countries and routes for migrants to Europe. This article was provided by The Guardian. Let's get the football out of the way with. Still loading. Arsene Wenger. Arsenal fans will not mourn Alexis Sanchez's exit as much as Robin van Persie's 2012 switch. Arsene Wenger believes Arsenal fans will find it easy to accept selling Alexis Sanchez to Manchester United than when Robin van Persie made the same switch in 2012. The Gunners' boss sanctioned Van Persie moved to Old Trafford 5.5 years ago, after he entered the final year of his contract and refused to sign an extension. Sanchez is now the same age as Van Persie was then, and the Chile international stands on the brink of joining Jose Mourinho's side, having turned down a new Arsenal deal in favour of a £350,000 a week agreement plus image rights at United. Days of Arsenal selling to direct rivals were supposed to end when the club emerged from the financial constraint imposed by their self-funding move to Emirates Stadium and Wenger's admission that they were unable to complete the monetary might of United and Manchester City provoked fury in some quarters. Arsenal want £10 million plus Mkhitaryan from Man United for Alex Sanchez, but Wenger believes the imminent arrival of Henrik Mkhitaryan will help appease supporters and assuage the frustration of another big name player departing in difficult circumstances. I would say our fans know Alexei, but will not extend his contract, and they have accepted that idea. And the fact it will not be one-way traffic, it will be other-way traffic as well, and so that makes the whole thing a bit smoother, maybe a bit less disappointing, he said. We lose a player, yes, but we could gain another player. When it was with Van Persie, it was a similar case, in the fact that he had only 1 year to go. Maybe it was the first case where the big players, Van Persie was one of the first cases where a big player didn't extend his contract and came close to the end of his contract. This will happen more and more because we arrive at the same level where the money at stake for players who are free is so big, and the transfers are so big that the players think it's better I go to the end of my contract, and if I don't get to the level of integrity of a transfer now, I'll only get half. It's a huge amount of money. Sanchez is the biggest mercenary in football, Kieran. Van Persie scored 26 goals in his debut season as United won the title in Sir Alex Ferguson's final year in charge, but Wenger said you forget that Man United had already a very strong team, and they have as well as a very strong team now. So was it him on his own who made a difference? I don't know, but he was a great player, Van Persie. But what I want to say is that these players, we took Van Persie when he played in the reverse team at Feyenoord, and we made a long work with him, and when you get them there to a level and after they leave, of course that is the most painful. After that, they do well for the other clubs, you know, they will do well, but most of the time it's after long patient work that you have done with the players. Wenger also claimed Arsenal must adapt their approach to the market to compete against willing to commit to overspiraling transfer fees and wages. We have to revisit the way we structure our club and our scouting policy, he said. Yeah, look at the world-class players now, and you look at Cristiano Ronaldo, Neymar, Sanchez, their level of financial demands and the level of their costs. You have to go younger, and certainly these players are not affordable. Finding gems is more difficult nowadays because the competition is everywhere. It is very big. What is important today is that we are the club that can maybe give them a chance more than other clubs. Case given by the Evening Standard. I think one more in part 1 before I finish on this phone, but where I'll do a part 2 on this phone. When I get there. Maybe doing like 3-4 parts today, maybe. 3 for definite. Hashtag St. James S3 high-powered rifle found in rice bags in Flankers. St. James, Jamaica. The Joint Military and Police team deployed in Montego Bay, St. James, is reporting that during today's major security operations, a rifle and ammunition were found in Flankers area sometime around noon. Reporters, all the members of the security force, went into unoccupied premises in the area, and after a thorough search, the weapon was phone's having one of those moments. The weapon was found hidden in a bag of rice. Although no one was arrested in connection with the find, Inspector Dion Bartley of the Joint Police Military Communications Unit said early results are very encouraging. Went into a number of hotspots and crime-ridden areas in Montego Bay from early as 5 a.m. today, and are very happy with the seizure, said Bartley, adding that numerous incidents of shootings and murder in the space have been committed with similar high-powered weapons. We will now rely on the ballistics and forensic technology to determine if this particular rifle was involved in any of the several murders committed over the past 2 weeks, Bartley added. Prime Minister Andrew Holness this afternoon declared a state of public emergency for the parish of St James. Some 335 murders were recorded in the parish last year, and at least 4 people have been murdered in that Western parish since the start of the year. The article was brought by the Jamaican Observer. End of part 1. Start of part 2. Not that one's what we've already covered. Carrying Collapse Government sets up task force to support business and workers. The government is setting up a national task force to support business and workers affected by the collapse of construction and outsourcing giant Carilion earlier this week, which employed 46,000 people worldwide, including 20,000 in the UK. Announced that it was going into liquidation on Monday, saddled with debt and liabilities of around £1.5 billion and a gaping pension deficit. The task force will include representatives from business, construction, trade associations, trade unions, lenders and the government. The first meeting was due to be chaired by Business Secretary Clark Gregg on Thursday. Korean collapse, Lloyds and Nationwide announced rescue measures. A business department spokesman said the task force had been created to support and monitor impact on small businesses and employees who have been affected by Carillion's insolvency. TUC General Secretary Francis O'Grady welcomed the news. We are pleased the government has agreed to union calls for a national task force to deal with the collapse of Carilion. Time is of the essence in dealing with this crisis. We need urgent actions to protect jobs, pay and pensions. This cannot be talking shops, she added. The TUC said it is pressing for the transfer of private sector contracts, including pay and pensions, to alternative providers. It is also demanding a comprehensive support package from the government for at-risk workers, apprentices and small firms. The TUC also said it wanted Korean's public service contracts to be brought back in-house for government to conduct an urgent risk assessment on large outsourcing firms and moratorium to be introduced on future outsourcing. Canadians are being warned about visiting Jamaica. The last one about Carilion was brought by the Independent. This one's by Global News. Why Canadians are being warned about visiting parts of Jamaica. The government of Jamaica imposed a curfew and declared state emergency in several popular tourist areas this week, following an increase of killings in nearby communities that officials have attributed to gangs and lottery scams. Crime and violence, in particular murders, have been escalating in the parish of St. James, have been advertised by the security by the security forces in writing that the level of criminal activity experienced crime and violence, in particular murders, have been escalating in the parish of St. James. I've been advising by the security forces in writing that the level of criminal activity experienced, continued and threatened is of such nature and so extensive in scale as to endanger the public safety, Jamaica Prime Minister Andrew Holness said in a release. Violent crime and high homicide rates have plagued the popular tourist destination for decades. A local publication called the Jamaican Gleaner wrote in a popular report that the region closed out 2017 with an astounding 1,616 murders, with 335 of those taking place in the city of St. James alone. Furthermore, the Gleaner goes to write that almost 40 murders have been recorded in Jamaica on the first month of 2018. Police said they will have a zero-tolerance approach to crime in the parish of St. James, where Montego Bay is located, for the duration of the state of emergency. Business and recreational areas are also under temporary curfew. In addition, authorities have imposed a curfew in parts of St. Catherine Parish, which is located west of the capital of Kingston. Police will have the power to search, curtail operating hours of business, restricting access to place to detain persons without a warrant. In addition, anyone driving in and around St. James will be subject to searches of their vehicles and their person. Travel Canada issued advisory to Canadians on January 18th, warning Canadians of a state of emergency declared in St. James's Parish and other regions. If you are staying at a resort in the affected area, restrict your movements beyond resort security perimeters. If you do travel outside these perimeters, use transportation arranged or provided by the resorts. Use organised tour operators for excursions and travel to and from the airport. If you're in the affected area, be extremely vigilant. Follow the instructions of local authorities and monitor local news. Read the warning. The United States issued a similar travel advisory. There's also been several accounts of tourists being killed while visiting Jamaica. Most recently, an elderly Canadian couple were found dead just 2 weeks ago in their home in St. Thomas, Jamaica. Not Canada, they were from Canada. But by Amnesty International in 2016 claims these eye-popping rates of violent crimes can be partially traced back to hundreds of unlawful killings by police, resulting in a culture of fear in communities. Jamaica's shocking culture of fear and violence is allowing police officers to get away with hundreds of unlawful killings. Shocking injustice is the norm, said Erica Guevara-Rosa, America's director at Amnesty International in the statement. The report goes to claim these unlawful killings often result in additional violence when police attempt to prevent relatives of victims from pursuing justice. Amnesty International states that these tactics may include systematic intimidation, harassment and threats against relatives at home, work, hospitals and even during funerals. Despite the high volume of homicide in Jamaica over the past 2 decades, a 2008 report from George Washington University Law School revealed that only 10% of those killings have resulted in prosecution since 1999. The report acknowledges that Jamaican people are forced to work under very difficult conditions. It's also important to note that as a part of 2016, the number of homicides in Jamaica had actually decreased significantly despite the numbers still being high. Moving ahead to 2017, a study by the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, reveals that the Caribbean region has a uniquely high level of violent crime. The reports examine 5 Caribbean regions of Jamaica, Barbados, Bahamas, Suriname, Trinidad and Tobago. The report concluded that homicide and violent crime rates in the area coincide with higher than usual rates of violence in the region. The strongest trend between all 5 Caribbean countries was an abnormally high rate of assault and threat of assault. The report goes on to recommend monitoring police and justice systems to begin addressing this problem. Brought by Global News. Jumper revealed in new trailer for final episodes of Star Wars Rebels, provided by Entertainment Weekly News. So be it, the cloaked form of an ultimate evil in Galaxy is joining the cast of Star Wars Rebels for its final episodes, with Ian McDiarmid reprising his role as the voice of the Emperor. He appeared in the new trailer for the Disney XD series, which returns February 19th for a 3-week run for ending March the 3rd. Executive producer Dave Filoni and the Rebels team will be packing a lot into that shortened time frame. There will be 2 back-to-back episodes every Monday, concluding with a 90-minute grand finale. Essentially a Rebels movie. The trailer opens with a lot of flashbacks to the previous 3 seasons as a street kid turned Jedi hopeful Ezra Bridger, voiced by Taylor Gray, teamed up with some galactic outlaws that will evolve into a rebellion. We know from the original Star Wars trilogy. I feel like it was important to give this last trailer an overall perspective of what this kid has come from and what he had been learning. Filoni tells EW, "I like the line that says you've never been like anyone else. You've never been like anyone else." As Ezra continues a mystical journey into the secrets of the Force, his blind instructor, Kanan Jarrus, voiced by Freddie Prinze Jr., is determined to rescue the dauntless pilot Hera Syndulla, Vanessa Marshall, while Mandalorian warrior Sabine Wren, Taya Sakara, Alien Muscle Zeb, Steve Blum, Clone Wars veteran Rex D. Bradley Baker, and disgruntled droid Chaka continue fighting the good fight against the Empire. Entertainment Weekly has been more from Filoni. In upcoming deep dive, gallery walking knows frame by frame through the revelations of this trailer. From Emperor Palpatine to those three strange Force figures in the Mobile. Brought by Entertainment Weekly. Just quickly see where this last article is before me finishing part 2. Nope. End of part 2. Part 3. And let us get started. Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar said he expected the wording of a referendum on the 8th Amendment to be made public in a matter of weeks. A widespread frost tonight, with ice where there may have been recent wintry showers. Rain and sleet moving in from the southwest tonight and the night. Yorkshire Hospital has set up a containment ward for patients with flu and other winter viruses. Dolores O'Riordan funeral to be held next week. Coca-Cola pledges to recycle all packaging by 2030. A man sprayed bleach into the eyes of pound worker when she asked him not to queue jump, police say. This happened down in Wolverhampton. TalkTalk complained about broadband complaint provider. Tomorrow will be the 1-year anniversary of President Trump's inauguration. A case against an Oxford University student who had a rape charge hanging over his head for 2 years has been dropped on the eve of his trial. British businessman dies in New York, Mexico helicopter crash. Extreme kayaker sets 128 feet waterfall record. British boxing chiefs have met with Tyson Fury and says they will reinstate his license to fight. He just needs to provide up-to-date medical records. Suicide Pact trial, Natasha Gordon jailed over Rutland water death. Obese girl 12 could be taken from mother's care. Loughran Iron, the unsolved murder of 6 men watching the World Cup match in 1994. Victims of John Warboys and separately the Mayor of London are seeking judicial review of the decision to release him. As Rinaldi stopped energy drink sales to under 16s. UK Foreign Secretary floats idea of Boris Bridge across the Channel. Premier League statement on Cyril Regis after criticism at lack of coordinated tribute. Delayed marriage and parenthood has pushed back popular perceptions of when adulthood begins. Music hails seismic victory over housing noise battle. Big win for England at the Gabba. A 2-0 lead in the Aussie and England ODI series for the tourists. Urban explorer who climbed Humber Bridge is fine. Cancer protest enormously exciting. This can have an enormous impact on cancer mortality. Parsons Green attack, teen denies terror charges. UK retail sales fall in December. Doris O'Riordan inquest into Cranberry singer waiting tests. Fresh warnings for snow and ice across Scotland. Scrapper flow microplastic levels similar to Forth and Clyde. Devon MP calls for change to stalking laws. ATM shakeout could leave many without cash, consumer groups warn. Adolescence now lasts from 10 to 24, scientists say. NHS bailouts could become new normal, National Audit Office says. Liverpool jails severely ill inmates at substantial risk, says psychiatrist. Year in Providence author Peter Maley dies aged 78. MOD exposed financially by carrier and jet program. Let us go and find what's on the world news now. Colombia says 550,000 Venezuelans have fled to the country. Las Vegas shooting, police say gunman's girlfriend won't face charges. Chicago West, Kim Kardashian West and Kanye West named daughter. Breakers cleared over Canada rail disaster. Larry Nassar case, Olympic champ Jordan Weber reveals abuse. Philippines stops sending workers to Kuwait over abuse fears. I think there are some ironies to point out. White House Director of Legislative Affairs Mark Short quotes Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer and Dianne Feinstein on their views of the government shutdown. Kenya investigates sex attacks on new mothers at hospital. It is frustrating to all of us that we are in this position, says White House Director of Legislative Affairs, as the US edges towards a government shutdown. Czech Prime Minister Andrej Babiš strips of immunity amid fraud claims. NASA removes US astronaut from ISS mission. ISS being International Space Station. Mattis International US National Security Force is no longer terrorism. Russian President Vladimir Putin plunges into icy water to mark Epiphany. And there's some scary looking people. Actually, Russian social media defends air cadets dancing in underwear. Crocodile found in weapons raid. Smiling Macron and May pose for selfie. US shutdown, Senate bill on verge of collapse amid rancor. Data stealing spyware traced to Lebanon. Turkey steps up Syria shelling as invasion of Afrin looms. Pope Francis slander comment angers Chile abuse victims. Michael Douglas, former employee, accuses actor of sexual harassment. Pakistan's Sinab murder, DNA suggests suspect in other case was innocent. Fake bomb TV crew held at New Jersey airport. Europe stormed Germany in huge clear-up as trains run again. Yu Wenshang, China human rights lawyer, arrested on school run. South Korea to award dog paparazzi informers. Patricia Dagron. France's Black Widow jailed for poisoning. One Russian paper today predicts increased repression and isolationism in Vladimir Putin's next Kremlin turn. Another claims that Russian police have cancelled the constitution. Jacinda Ardern, New Zealand Prime Minister's unusual pregnancy surprise. Fisherman escape crash by split second. Cars hit pedestrians near Ria's Copacabana beach. HSBC to pay $101.5 million to settle currency Vigan probe. Hebo co-founder Travis Kalanick, a billionaire after $8 billion investment deal. Pope Francis' rising crisis hit Peru. Shaken. Malaysia Airlines flight turns back to Australia. Cosmetic firms need to do more for women of colour. Australia's Channel 9 news promo looks like BBC's version. North Korea is set to make its first ever appearance at the Winter Paralympics, and the two novice skiers who will represent it are hoping to win medals. Mother and daughter shot dead in Pakistan. They had missed polio vaccinations when two gunmen on a motorcycle opened fire. Israel's Indian Jews and their lives in the Promised Land. Ukraine crisis, Kiev defines Russia as aggressor state. Zimbabwe opposition figure Roy Bennett dies in US helicopter crash. End of video.